Ida? Susie, you've come to visit me today. What day is it? If I had known you were coming, I would have had them dress me differently. Something nicer, prettier, cleaner. Oh, the days, they all blurred to one long day. But the days you come, those are the best. And Susie, look at you, you're here. Let me kiss your punum. Lean down. Mwah! Such a pretty face. I kiss you too, Ida. It's so good to see you, but tell me, darling, why do you never bring your partner Marlene to come see me? Are you embarrassed to have her see me here in this place? I'm here. I make the best of it. It would have been nice to have met her in my apartment in Brooklyn. But that was long ago. And Ida, I know how busy you are too, yet you come. Every week you make the long trip from Bayside. You're a good daughter to me. But I have to wonder, how is it I ended up here? You ask, how's mine appetite? Not so good. They call me paranoid. Because I ask them, do you put some medicine in my food? I get sleepy and confused. The bastards. What? You don't like I say such a word? Ida, some things never change. It's my favorite word. No, it's too cold for me to go out and eat and hang and be outside with you. Let's go sit over there. That's mine corner. And that's mine chair. And everybody knows this is where Mrs. Zipper sits. And nobody comes here to visit with me unless I invite them. Come, we sit. Oh, and look, you brought me my lunch. Oi, here she comes, the nurse. If we were really sick, and she was a real nurse, we'd all be dead by now. Oh, hello, nurse. Yes, I'm visiting with my family. This is my daughter, Ida, and this is my granddaughter, Suzanne. She's the teacher of the English in the junior high school. She teaches the children to speak the proper English. This is Nurse O'Reilly. Mrs. O'Reilly, she takes good care on me. She treats me so special. No, we don't want to go to the lunchroom and watch the others drooling while they eat. No, I'm not making fun. I'm merely stating a fact. But anyway, look what they brought. They brought me my lunch. Kosher meat, kosher corned beef, mit chopped liver, and a kosher pickle. Would you like a taste? No? Good. But you must see the rye bread. It's so fresh, look. It's not like what we eat here day in and day out. You know, nurse, why they call it Wonder Bread? Because we wonder what's in it. Do you eat it too? It must remind you of the Irish soda bread. I heard that's very bland. No, I'm not making fun. I'm merely stating a fact. The other day in the lunchroom, Mr. O'Shaughnessy told me when he was a little boy in the orphanage, every meal they'd give him Irish soda bread. He said it was bland and hard like a rock. And the little boys would take the bread and put it in pockets. And then at night, when they were in their bedroom, they were supposed to be asleep. They'd take out the bread and use it to kill the mice that were running around the room. Okay, see you later. Bye. Ida, The other day, they tried to feed me non-kosher food. She comes to me and she says, "Here, Mrs. Zipper, have a chicken patty." What do they think? I'm deaf, dumb, and blind? I know the difference between a chicken and a pig. A pig does not become a kosher chicken because the Irish nurse says it's so. She leans down on me and she goes, "Here, Mrs. Zipper, eat it. It's good for you." I know she's laughing at me inside. She scares me. And you know, sometimes Ida, she pinches my arm and she grabs me. It's why I keep my sleeves rolled down. I don't want to talk about such things. Come, we'll eat our lunch. You do your crossword puzzles like you always do. Susie, move your chair closer. We'll eat our sandwiches together and we'll visit. Oh. Delicious. So tell me, my darling, has your mother taught you any new Yiddish words since last time I saw you? No? New, Ida? What is this? My granddaughter only knows guppel for fork? What do you mean she doesn't want to learn? She and her brothers, they have to learn. We're the last ones left. Nu, you're a failure. You know what she knows. She knows bupkis. That means nothing in Yiddish. Anyway, you know what, Ida? Remember when you were a little girl? You would hide behind your books to avoid me? Do it now with your puzzles. So tell me, let me kiss your punim. I kiss you too. So tell me, darling, do the kids say bad words to you when they get mad in the classroom? Tell me what they are. What, Ida, I'm visiting with Susie. Oh, Ida? Susie? Oh, I'm sorry. Sometimes I just go away. I get a little confused. I don't know, am I in my apartment in Brooklyn or in my shtetl in Russia, Poland? I just don't want to know I'm here. The night they took me, they grabbed me out of my bedroom in the Jewish home, and they stuck a needle in my arm and then shoved me into the ambulance. It reminded me of the days and nights of the pogroms in Russia, Poland, when the Cossacks would march through our village, especially Easter Sunday, when they would come looking for good little Jewish boys to kill. I would take mine Abi, your Uncle Al, in mine arms, and I would run into the fields behind the houses so they wouldn't find him. They would have killed him. I don't want to remember. I remember January of 1970, when my grandmother was involuntarily committed to Pilgrim State Psychiatric Hospital on Brentwood, Long Island. Pilgrim State was built in the 1920s and sprawled across 1,000 acres of land. By the mid-1950s, it housed over 15,000 psychiatric patients. I hated the red brick buildings and the huge metal doors that required large keys to open them, the hallways smelling from disinfectant, the sounds of people moaning and yelling coming from the rooms. The nurses wore little caps on their heads and starched white uniforms, and around their waists they had leather belts laden down with key rings. I don't remember if they were kind or smiled at me and my mom when we came to visit. It was very different when I visited my grandmother in her apartment in Brooklyn. I'm 8 years old, and we're there for our usual Saturday visit. My older brother Joel and our dad are out walking in the neighborhood, and my baby brother Richie is on the floor in Grandma's bedroom playing with his toys. Me and my mom are seated at the kitchen table, and my grandma is cooking. So, Susie, I want you should watch. I'm making blintzes. You know how your papa loves mine cooking, and he loves mine blintzes. Ida, you know, you don't even make Sally no blintzes, and you don't cook so good. It's a good thing he loves you anyway. So, my darling, tell me, how was school? What do you mean the teacher yelled on you? Ah, don't be sad about the math. You're a smart little kinder. You're my Sorivka. You know who you were named for? My sisters, Sarah and Rebecca, who died in the Holocaust. The bastard Nazis. What, Ida? You don't like I say such a word? You say son of a bitch all the time. Me, I say bastards, and they were, and worse. Okay, I say it in the Yiddish so the kinder doesn't understand. They were momses. Anyway, Susie, let me kiss your punim. Look at that punim. Mwah! I kiss you too, Ida. You know what, Susie? Your teacher, she should kiss your punim. Oh! Better yet, you know what she should do? She should kiss your What? I'm practicing my English. Okay. She should kiss your tuchus. Your teacher should kiss your tuchus. Look at you. Always your nose in a book. What are you reading, my darling? I'm reading Nancy Drew, Grandma. I love her. No, Nancy Drew. That is not a Jewish name. Is she a Hollywood movie star? No, Grandma. She's a girl detective, and I want to be just like her when I grow up. No, and what will you detect? I'll solve mysteries. Mysteries? Tell me, Susie, what mysteries are there left to solve? We know the earth revolves around the sun, and the Germans are all, never mind. But Grandma, everyone looks up to Nancy Drew, and they listen to what she has to say, and they respect her. And you know what? I don't like Lois Lane anymore because she acts like a jerk around Superman. Superman. You know, my darling, if I had married me a Superman, he would have bought me a big house. And I'd have a maid, and she would be doing the cooking, and I'd be sitting over there eating. Grandma, you're so silly. But you know, mein Kinder, I thought maybe because you love to read so much that maybe you'd want to become a writer someday. Did you know your mama wanted to be a newspaper reporter when she was a little girl? Ida, do you remember when you went to school and started learning English? I got so worried you'd forget all your Yiddish, but you didn't, thanks to God. Anyway, my darling, I thought maybe you would want to be like a funny storyteller like your mama, or maybe a poet like me. Did you know? I had my poetry published in the Jewish Daily Forward newspaper after I emigrated here in 1917. And you know, my darling, I speak 5 languages: Yiddish, Polish, Russian, a little Lithuanian, and I taught myself to read and write the English. I would come home after working 8, 9, 10 hours in the bakery, and on my feet, come home and cook dinner for your mama and Uncle Al, my AB, and then I'd sit and study the English all night. Well, Grandma, maybe I could be a writer and a detective too. Look at her, Ida. Such big dreams she has, like me, like you had too. So tell me, Ida, how are you and Sally? He's so good to you, and he loves you and the kinder so much. What are you rolling your eyes on me? Men, they have their good sides and their not so good sides. Better not to focus on their not so good sides, or you end up alone like me. 2 husbands, your papa I buried, he should rest in peace. And your stepfather I divorced, but we won't talk about that. So the other day, I wake up and decide I'm going to go meet the new rabbi at the synagogue I just joined. I go to meet him because I want him to get me a Shabbos goy so he can come and light my stove so I can cook a little for you and Sally and the kinder on Saturday. Do you know what he says to me, this rabbi? He goes like, Mrs., what you think, it's 1935? It's 1957. Do you see a Shabbos goy hanging outside the synagogue waiting to earn a nickel to go home and light your stove for you? Go back to that apartment building you just moved into and find someone to help. I cannot. Well, so Ida, do you know what I did? The other morning, I wake up. I decide I'd light my stove myself, and God would not be mad at me. And what about you? You think I don't know how you and Sally and the kinder get here on Saturday morning? You think I believe you get up super early and walk across the parkway from Queens all the way over the Brooklyn Bridge to my neighborhood? I know Sally drops you off, I think, a half a block away. You walk over to me. And then he rushes off to park the car in some other neighborhood so not to insult my neighbors that it's the Sabbath. But then, at sunset, when our visit is ending and you and me and the kinder are standing outside the building, and Charlie walks away. And then he comes back with the car. What does he think? I thought he went to Queens. Anyway, that rabbis are no good, Nick. All the rabbis, all day long, all the rabbis and the wannabe rebbes, all day long, bouncing back and forth. Oh, Ida, before I forget, do you remember the Shabbos school that we used to have on Delancey Street? That little cute Irish kid. He would come upstairs, I'd give him his little nickel, and then he'd sit down and I'd feed him blintzes, or if it was Passover, I'd feed him some gefilte fish. He loved me and my cooking. His mother didn't love me so much. On account one day I accidentally kicked a flower pot off the stoop and her geraniums dropped dead. Anyway, that rabbi, he's a no-goodnik. And all the wannabe rabbis all day long bouncing back and forth and davening and arguing about the Torah, complaining about their lives, kvetching about their wives. I wouldn't be surprised one day that God doesn't lean down from above and go, enough already, stop kvetching and get a job. Hey, Ma, speaking of jobs, do you remember Mr. Goldfarb? I think he worked as a furrier. He used to come around when I was like, 8 or 9 years old? He was so good to us. He took us to the movies and the Yiddish theater. Remember, one time we even saw King Lear in Yiddish. I didn't understand it, but it was funny. And then remember, he even took us down to Manhattan to eat at Horn and Hearted at the Automat. We thought it was so fancy. Ida. Of course I remember Mr. Goldfarb. He was a nice man. But you know, I sometimes would catch him from the corner of my eye. He would be watching us, watching the play or the movie. He got such pleasure out of our pleasure at what we were doing. He would be cavelling with such joy. Hey, Ma, he really liked you. I bet he would have married you. Why didn't you marry him, Ma? All I needed was a third husband. After I divorced your stepfather, the neighbors talked about me behind my back. Back then, for a Jewish woman to even ask for a divorce on her own, it was like a sin. We don't want to talk about such things, not in front of the kinder. You know, Ida, that rabbi the other day, he reminded me of the rabbi in my shtetl. All day long he sat on his tuchus, didn't lift a finger while his wife cooked and cleaned and baked and sewed and took care of their 7 children. You know, Ida, the women all worked like dogs back then. You have it easy, the way it is now, and Sally, he's so good to you and the kinder. Anyway, Susie, come, get the frying pan. We're going to put the blintzes up on the stove and make them just like your papa loves. And then, my little darling, I'm going to show you how to make a duck. Your papa, he loves mein duck. What do you mean you don't want to learn to cook? Even a detective needs to eat, mein Surifka. Back at the hospital, the visit with my grandmother is ending. And as I lean down to kiss her goodbye, I have to wonder, how is it she ended up here?